Hey everybody, it's been a while since we've done this, so welcome back to our Tuesday community chats at our new 4 o'clock time. We're hoping that we're going to be able to catch more people this way. I think as people kind of start to figure out their COVID routines and find ways to get back to work, we're trying to adjust our time frame here to do these at an hour when we're going to be able to catch the most people. So we're hoping that this 4 o'clock time frame works well. I'm Eli, I'm the mayor. We've also got town manager Todd Cusimano. We've got assistant town manager Rebecca Vaughn, director of public works RJ Suko, acting fire chief Ruben Martin, and the director of planning and building Adam Wolf on the line here to answer any questions that folks may have. If you're on the line and you want to ask us anything, go ahead and put your hand up via Zoom. We'll just get started off real quick here with some updates from town staff. And before I turn it over, I'll just give a real high level of a couple things that I wanted to highlight. So one thing that I'm super proud of that we've done, that I don't know of any other Marin jurisdiction that's done this, but we, in the month of August, 26 of Corte Madera's most vulnerable residents are not going to have to worry about paying rent. And these are residents whose housing situation was put at risk because they lost their income due to COVID. They're some of our most vulnerable residents, and we did not want to see them go homeless. So we partnered up with the Corte Madera Community Foundation. We're very grateful for their generous assistance, and we were able to together create a fund that is going to cover rent for 26 of our struggling residents here. So I think we're all super proud of this work that we've been able to do to help keep our residents housed. I think COVID, the disease, affects everybody differently as we're hearing, but it's also, the economic impacts affect us all differently. For some of us, this whole thing has been, an inconvenience. And for some people, it's really absolutely disastrous. And like I said, some people, as tragic as it is, have found themselves facing potentially homelessness as a result of the shutdown. So we're just so glad that for at least, a good number of our residents, that's not going to be a concern, at least for this month. We're trying to do what we can, kind of like how we put together an assistance fund to help out our businesses there. So great work there. And I really want to congratulate and thank all the town staff that worked so hard putting this really innovative program together. And also, again, thank the Community Foundation for their generous assistance and partnership in this. The other thing that I'll just mention real brief and then turn it over to Todd for more details, just that the county has passed an urgency ordinance, and basically what it all boils down to is the county starting to get serious now on enforcing mask violations, because as we see our local COVID numbers continue to spike, I think, we're all kind of coming to the conclusion that enough is enough. And we're hearing, honestly, from residents, frustration with people who are not abiding by these mandates to wear masks. And, we all have to do our part to keep ourselves and everyone else safe. And that's the only way we're going to beat this thing. That's the only way we're going to get our numbers back down. And that's the only way we're going to be able to open back up. So I'll turn it over to Todd now for some updates on that and a few other issues. And then we'll get updates from any other staff members who would like to give some. And then we'll turn it over to you guys for questions.
All right, thanks, boss. And I just want to keep, since we're on the talking about the Corte Madera Community Foundation, as you said, boss, they've been outstanding over the years of supporting the town on special projects. They also partnered with us. You may recall, for the litter cleanup and vegetation clearing along the highways, and helping us there, as well as the clover lease at the overpass. And so they also contributed 1/3 funding to help us with that for the year and to help Caltrans. And we're also working with the Corte Madera Community Foundation and our public works team led by RJ Suko on the Tainer Steps and some of our pathways up on the Chapman Park and Christmas Tree Hill areas. And so we're doing some analysis up there. And so stay tuned for that. Some really good projects in progress. You may have seen a few articles recently. One of them was the urgency ordinance, as the mayor mentioned. Right now, the countywide, we just, again, the managers and our directors really feel it's important for as much consistency as possible, not only in our messaging, but how we respond as cities and towns, that we're moving lockstep together when it makes sense and we can do that. And so we thought this urgency ordinance was important to have an enforcement wing on those businesses that might not be following the rules, as well as us as individuals. And so right now we're having discussions on a countywide approach, like a task force approach, to basically take membership and staff from each jurisdiction and kind of do operations as we go, do education and then enforcement, kind of like we do with the pedestrian crosswalk operations. So we'll publicize it. Hey, we're going to be in this area. We're coming. Look out for us. Follow the rules. Here's what they are. And then we're going to come out and enforce it as a county. And so we're talking about what that looks like moving forward. And for the town, our code enforcement official, Mike Moriarty, is taking the lead there for us. Also, as we all go through the fiscal crisis that we're in, I think all the cities and towns are looking internally first of what essential services are important that we need to continue to provide, and what are those that we may not be able to. And then it branches out to a lot of the joint power authorities. And one of them you may have seen in an article last week was the Major Crimes Task Force. It has been disbanded. Some of the larger agencies could no longer participate in that, San Rafael, Nevada being two. And with them being out, it didn't make sense for the current structure, the Joint Powers Authority structure of governance and the financial mechanisms. It no longer made sense for the smaller agencies like us. As an example, Corte Madera is part of Central Marin Police Authority, which is Corte Madera, Larkspur, and San Anselmo. We actually contributed $220,000 annually to the Narcotics Task Force. We think it's important and necessary, but that's $30,000 more than San Rafael contributes when 70% of the calls are in San Rafael. So you may have seen it. I just want everyone to know that it was important. There's a backstory to it. That's the summary, but Corte Madera is committed as your police chief, Mike Norton, for Central Marin Police Authority. We have a good relationship with the county, and we're working on more of a contracted services approach moving forward, where we still provide this service moving forward as it's necessary. And so there'll be more to follow with that. So I just didn't want anyone to think that issue is now we're just going to let it just happen and we're not going to do anything about it. There is a plan of attack. Unfortunately, Nevada and San Rafael probably won't be part of that. There's been a lot of discussion and concerns about dogs off leash. We talked about it on our last community call. At that point, I did tell the community that it was going to be a zero tolerance approach. I've asked Central Marin Police Authority to start enforcing the leash law. They have been, but they've been doing it on a calls for service basis. I didn't ask them to provide multiple extra patrols on a daily basis, as, again, we receive 30,000+ calls for service and police services a year. And so I want them to also, be out there and want them really in traffic enforcement. I want them out there doing that. And so I didn't ask them for that extra patrols, but after hearing the conversation at the commission meeting last night, it's just, I think it's getting well out of hand. And so I've asked Chief Norton, it'll start tomorrow. We're going to put out some messaging today. Basically, it's an infraction to have your dog off a leash. And it's a $76 violation. And so we're going to start enforcing that tomorrow on an extra patrol basis. So during those times where we're getting the most complaints, you will see multiple officers in Town Park enforcing that leash law. I'm frustrated that I even have to do that, and we have to ask our police services to stop what they're doing and enforce the leash law. But at this point, from what I'm hearing and seeing, I don't know what else we could do. A lot of people have asked, well, why can't your staff enforce it? And one of the issues that we have is our staff isn't trained to enforce ordinances in a lot of ways. Our code enforcement officer is, but our park and recreation staff is not. And I'm not going to put our people in a confrontational situation, as happens many times in situations like this. And so we do have to rely on Central Marin Police Authority. And again, they are going to be out there starting tomorrow on an extra patrol enforcement. Almost done. You may have seen an article about the sewer lateral program. Really proud of that one. Good, thanks to the good work of RJ and his team again. Again, it's been a very successful program. If anyone has any questions, you can always contact our staff. You can go to our website under Sanitary District 2, and it has some really good information about what that program is about. And again, I think it's important, and I'm really proud of the town for helping our residents replace their sewer laterals, as it's a really big issue. Look forward to a sidewalk program that is similar to the sewer lateral program. And so look out for that. We're putting that together now with staff. And so we'll be putting out some information and taking that program to council in the next couple months. And also, lastly, I just wanted to give some financial update data. We kind of projected over the next 36 to 48 months what the impacts of COVID-19 would be for our town. And we've started to have those preliminary discussions with the town council. Specifically, we started with fiscal year 19-20 closing, so effective June 30th of 2020. That fiscal year is closed. As you know, when this happened within that fiscal year, it started in March through June. Through June, we anticipated those fiscal impacts could be about $1.7 to $2.2 million in losses. It looks like, due to a variety, and this is a 3-hour talk, so this will be high level, I'll give you a little good news. And it really has to do specific to Corte Madera for a variety of reasons and one-time cost reimbursement situations, but it looks like we may actually be able to balance our budget, or really close to. Right now we have a $300,000 deficit instead of a 1.7 million. And we have some revenue, anticipated revenue still expected. And so we're in a much better situation than we thought. Going into this current fiscal year, we anticipated a $2.2 million deficit. We were able to balance that budget, and the council approved that amendment. Right now, the trajectory and the projections are probably in our favor, about $1.2 million better than we anticipated. So there's some good news for us, but we're not out of the woods yet. We need to keep doing what we're doing. And as the mayor opened it, we all have a role in that. And we have to follow the rules of the order. Because if we get into a situation where we get further closures, it changes those projections drastically as well. So it's just not health, and obviously health and safety is one, but financials the other. Your staff probably spends a majority of our time, 7 days a week, finding ways to find money and to keep the lights on and make sure that we can get through this. And so Daria Carrillo, our finance director, and her staff are just, they're behind the scenes, but they're protecting this town and doing some amazing work. And so I wanted to just give some updates to the community on that. But again, we're not out of the woods. And with that, I'll just stop right there and open it to questions.
Great, thank you, Todd. We got a good amount of people on the line here, so it looks like the 4 o'clock time is working well. So everybody, if you've got any questions either about anything that we just brought up or anything else at all, go ahead and raise your hand on Zoom, and we'll get you on here so you can ask us your questions and get some answers directly from our department heads.
And boss, one other thing, while you're doing that too, I left one thing out, and I just so I want to, our planning and building team, the good work they did, and not only economic development, but we had 2 new openings coming up. The RH is now open. The restaurant's still closed. It should be opening hopefully as the orders lessen. And Amy's opens up on August 4th. And so we're really excited about that. And Adam and his team, just did an outstanding job with that. And so we're excited to see those openings. Sorry about that.
No, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, we're looking forward to those. I think those are going to be 2 great amenities for our community here. And I think especially Amy's, during these kind of weird times, I think it's going to be nice for everybody to have a new drive-through option where they can just, pull up, scoop up some comfort food and take it back home and, enjoy it in isolation there. So that's good. Nobody's putting their hands up here, so I guess people just came to listen to us. There we go. All right, Laura is first. Let's get her on here.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. How are you?
Good. How are you?
So, by the way, thanks for getting Ring Mountain open. Appreciate that. It's a good hike. I have a question today about the kids in the Corte Madera community. So you guys know that school is going to start as distance learning and probably will be distance learning for the foreseeable future. Did everyone hear that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. My personal feeling is that I've been hearing a lot of I feel like every week I hear a different plan from either a community member or like an email forwarded to me from a parent in the school district. So it's helpful for me to hear from you now.
Okay, so the plan now is start 100% distance learning, and there's a negotiation now with the unions to potentially open up later in the fall. But I think the feeling is that distance learning is what will be happening for the foreseeable future. And what that means is it sort of creates a divide in our community where kids whose families have great resources can pivot to that, but there are kids whose family don't have the same resources that sort of will suffer more from that setup, which is the 100% distance learning. And I'll kind of tell you what some people are doing, grouping up to do what's called a learning pod, where you get like a couple of families and either rotate with the learning or hire someone to do distance learning. And the challenge of that is it's sort of, it's great if you have space, it's great if you have resources to hire someone, but it's not great if you don't. So, long story, I was wondering if the city of Corte Madera could sort of dig down, and they already have great resources for children, but sort of amp them up a little bit this fall to help some of those children that don't have as great of learning opportunities or socialization opportunities or athletic opportunities. And so I'm wondering if you have any specific kids activities planned for the fall. And my questions around that are maybe I'll start with, I have a lot of questions, but I'll start with the most obvious one. Soccer, do you anticipate finding a safe way to have rec soccer run?
Thank you, Laura. I'll just note that we don't have our Director of Parks and Rec on the line here, so some of these questions, you know, our folks here may be able to answer, and others we may want to check in with Ashley, our Parks and Rec Director, and then get back to you. But I'll turn it over to staff.
Yeah, and Rebecca, if you want to jump in too. But Laura, so as the mayor said, we can get you offline. We can introduce you to Ashley Howe, our Parks and Rec Director, but that's exactly what we're working on now. Number one, what are the rules that the county and the state allow us to do? And then coordinating with the city of Larkspur and the Larkspur Corte Madera School District on our facilities and our opportunities of what we can do to help. Right now, soccer, you know, soccer for like the high schools, right? I mean, some of the sports, they're pushing them back, but right now, potentially soccer could still be in play for the youth. But again, you got to do it a certain way. And so it's a daily moving target, but I think your voice and if there's anyone else in the community, I'm happy to get you in touch with Ashley and for you guys to vet those opportunities. But that's at the, you know, we did not cut our staffing or our resources. So we are fully looking at opportunities like that to ensure that we can help moving forward. And a lot of us have kids, school-aged kids that we're going through the same thing you're going through. And so as we problem solve how we can get, you know, help our staff, we're also then turning and pivoting, going, how do we help our community? Because we all have the same issue, but it's a moving target.
Thank you. I would love to talk to Ashley, but well, for Eli and the rest of the council and you too, Todd, I really think because it's a community issue now where people before could sort of fend for themselves with like soccer or whatnot. Now I kind of think that you guys need to step in and make sure that everyone has the opportunity. So just to go further with the soccer example, I can ask 6 of my kids' friends to come play soccer in my backyard and hire someone to teach them, but not everyone can do that. So if we can find a safe way for soccer to be offered at a public level, like that's super important right now. And it's a quality issue, and it needs to be something that's leaned in on from the town council.
Yeah, I think the town council already has, Laura. I mean, how they basically approached it, they didn't cut staffing, and everything that we do, whether it's a sidewalk, it's a sewer lateral, or it's a program like you're talking about, it's making sure let's see if we can do whatever that is. And right now, let's talk about soccer or outdoor programs. And then at the same time going, who are those that are in need financially and that need subsidies to make sure that they can still participate? And so everything we do, that has been the direction of the council, and really our actions over the last 6 months have ultimately been enhanced. So that's the direction that our director has. So I don't feel like we have to have a council conversation about it. They've directed it. And so now it's, what can we do? What are we capable of doing? And a lot of times, just not Corte Madera, let's partner with the Twin Cities. Let's grab Larkspur. Let's grab the school district and partner together. And then again, our directors are talking countywide on a weekly basis of who's doing what and what, who's doing things really well and thinking outside the box, just like you said. And so again, I think it's good to have you talking to the right people on the ground level and problem solving ideas and making sure we're coming up with solutions. So,
and Laura, I'll just say, I think I'm not shy about saying I totally agree with you. I hear you loud and clear. I think this is great. Like Todd said, I think staff already has, under the current direction they have from the council, has the latitude to look into these types of solutions. But I want to thank you for bringing this up, and it's really helpful when you and other parents in the community like you who are involved and who see what's going on can help kind of work with us to shape our response here. A couple questions that I have. Staff may already well be doing this. Ashley may be doing this, but I guess I'm just thinking now based on Laura's comments. If there's a way that we could open up space like in the community center or something for like learning pods to come in. I don't know A, if that would be helpful or if it would be used by community members, and B, I don't know if we can do that either under the the county health orders or anything. But I think these are all really good avenues for exploration, because I agree, Laura. I think we should see how we can help and how we can put our public resources, which is what they are, put them to use for the community.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. So thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly, that's what you have, probably 30 moving projects going at once. And so you have to evaluate them. And I think the learning pod conversation might come up within the schools. A lot of times we're using the schools because they're closed to help us with some of that and some of where our facilities and what can we do. And so that's what we're talking about now. And don't have a perfect answer yet because the schools just came up with the learning pod conversation just a couple of weeks ago. So we're right there with them, and last thing I said, that's what we're doing.
The overall point, and thank you, Eli, because I feel like you totally get it. Like the overall point is normally it's like, the schools have a process or programs have a process, but because of the unique situation, really horrible things are happening to children. And it's a time in history where elected officials need to lean in and say, okay, this isn't always our domain, but this is somewhere where we can help. And Eli, when you said, hey, I bet some people don't have space for their learning pods, could we, and maybe it won't work out, could we use some public space for that? Like that's the exact kind of thing that needs to happen, because usually this is not your domain, but because of the inequalities that are surfacing, you guys kind of do have to go in deeper than usual, I think. So I'd love to talk to Ashley about those things. And I hope to see you always asking and making sure that kind of our most vulnerable in the community are getting what they need. And the last thing that I'll say about that is the summer camp that you guys put on. I think it's called, I can't think of the name of it, but
it's usually summer playground, but this year it's summer camp 2020.
Exactly. So that has always been a really inexpensive and accessible camp for people that need it. And I saw that you started advertising for the camp, realized that something fell off, lowered the price and changed your messaging. That was awesome. And that's like the kind of thing that we need to happen in the fall. Seeing people that need help or a direction or guidance, and being there to support them. So I hope to see everyone kind of leaning in to help the kids this fall, because it's going to be difficult, and recognizing their needs in ways like that.
Mayor Beckman, if I may, I can't speak entirely for Ashley, but I do know that she has a lot of plans in the works and that she is in communication with Brett Geithman, the superintendent, working on ways that the town can partner with the schools and pick up the slack for education and childcare and aftercare and programs and activities. And the department has a really robust scholarship program.
Yeah.
I don't know what portion of the kids participating in the camp this year received full scholarships, but it's a significant amount. They took that into consideration.
Yeah.
And that is a scholarship that.
Yeah. But it's always been, it's accessible to everyone, even, it's very well priced and run. And
but they did recognize that they did have to charge more this year because of the reduced participation size that the county laid out. So they really wanted to make sure that anyone who needed to participate had support to ensure that their kids had that care.
Yeah, it was about half of what other camps were. So that was cool. So,
I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
They were expensive this summer.
Oh my gosh, it was like college.
But
yes.
Ashley will be able to fill you in on what exactly she has in the works, and there's quite a bit that they're working on.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. That's all I had.
Oh, awesome. Okay, thanks a lot, Laura.
All right, thanks.
Rebecca, can you get Laura in touch with Ashley by email? Okay.
Okay, great. And next up, we're going to get Susie Beatty on here.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I called, came in today with a thank you for you, which I will proceed with, but the previous conversation was really interesting. And, you know, in my neighborhood here in Mariner Cove, almost everybody, we've got like 22 kids on my 2 blocks here. So I'm in touch with a lot of the parents about what's going on. And we actually have a couple of teachers on our street also, some in private school and some in the district. And I didn't realize that a final decision had been made. And I guess that's what Laura's saying. Do you know that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, because I understood from somebody there was going to be a vote this, like August 3rd or something, or?
Susie, I can send you the email that the superintendent sent out, but it was right after Gavin Newsom's press conference that said counties on the watch list would start school remotely.
Oh, there you go. I'd love to see it just to keep up. Thank you very much. But I want to thank Todd and Adam's department and RJ's department, because I think East Corte Madera has a banner sign. Am I right? Is the sign that is out there, is that the sign that we get to use over here? It has it's a Shop Corte Madera banner sign that is appearing on the corner over there by Macy's. And so thank you very much. I guess it's a permanent one that can be used, you know, like all the others in town. So East Corte Madera is very happy. Thank you, RJ. Thank you, Adam, for it. Not you so directly, I think, but some of the people in your department had to suffer through the emails. So just thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Susie. And I second your thanks to our staff for getting that banner up there. I think that's really, really useful. And I also want to thank Susie for being kind of, you know, an impetus behind that effort there and kind of pushing that idea forward. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Anything else, Susie?
That's it. Thanks.
Okay. You sure you don't want to sing our praises anymore? Okay. Thanks so much, Susie. All righty. Next up is going to be Barbara Solomon.
Yeah, hi, it's Barbara. I want to first of all thank you, Eli and Todd, and also Rebecca and RJ, obviously, for continuing with these meetings. I think it's so important, especially in these times, for the town and their elected officials to stay in touch with their constituents. So I hope you have a big audience. I'm on my cell phones. I don't have the usual screen. I don't know how many people are attending, but the word will get around and there will be more people. The question I had was, so Todd, you mentioned about enforcing the leash law. You might have said it and I didn't hear it, but what areas have you found? I'm just curious that people were not, the dogs were unleashed. Were there certain areas or was it just kind of all over like a general issue?
I mean, I think it sounds like it's the entire park, but we also have a few dog owners that are allowing their pets to jump in the canal as well into the water. And so, It's just, in the morning, people are just letting their larger dogs kind of run on the fields, and historically, the community, it's not staff, the community didn't want dogs in that park. And we tried, as you know, last year we tried an experiment, and then it followed up with the dog park. And now that we have the dog park, we've always knew we were going to have to come back and have a conversation with the council at some point to make some changes. And I think one of them is, I think we need to enforce it. And then we may need to make a few changes to our ordinance regarding the leash law. And so we had that conversation at the commission last night. And then we're going to take it to the council on August 18th to continue it. But right now it seems like it's a little bit all over. And also we're getting some complaints that dog owners aren't cleaning up after the dogs out on the field. And as Laura just talked about, we want to have soccer and have people out there in our fields. And so
absolutely. And that's the reason that they got rid of dogs in the park in the first place, was because the fields were such a mess for the kids to play on. So,
yeah, and I think one of the things the recommendation staff may have for the council to consider would be to just allow dogs have to be on a leash, but also they can walk through the park or through the park to the dog park on a leash and stay on the pathways. There's no reason really for them to be out in the fields anymore. And so I think when you look at what our intent is and the history of the park, that's probably going to be our recommendation, Barbara, where we land.
Great. Because I've even seen people after hours have their dogs unleashed within the little the fenced children's playground, which is like, you're not even supposed to have dogs in there, So anyway, it's just one of my pet peeves, as they say. A little pun. So, but thank you anyway. Thanks for all your hard work. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, and I'm hopeful that now that, our dog park is still pretty new, and I'm hopeful that as more people learn that we have that now, I'm hopeful that people are gonna, take their dogs there and, use that. And, let your dog run off leash in the dog park. And now that we've got that, I think there's even less excuse, frankly, to be having your dog off leash in all of our other parks. I think we all felt like it was a good step, but a big step to let dogs on leash in all of our parks. But like, we need people to respect that, we need people to respect, what the rules are around that. So thank you for bringing that up, Barbara. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much. All right. David is going to be next up here.
Yeah. Hi. It's nice to see you all back. Question for you, Ellie, following up on your topic at the opening, having to do with rentals. Did you commit all of your money, or do you still have money for this this project?
There's some funds left over. So I think we had, was it a $85,000 budget or $75,000 budget? I forget. We had, I think it turned out to be something in the mid 50s when we went. So I want to say it was either 26 or 27 people, 27 or 28 people applied to have their rent covered, and all but one were accepted, and the only one who wasn't accepted just didn't submit all of the required documentation. So we literally couldn't. It was out of our hands. But so even covering the rent for all of the eligible folks who applied, we still have I want to say 20 or 30 grand left over in that budget. So actually, I was going to ask staff. I don't know if we may consider if this COVID situation drags out, if we may consider coming back and doing a second round of that potentially in September, the way we did a second round for business relief. So I think these are questions and discussions that we'll have going forward. But to answer your question, no, we did not expend the full budget.
Well, that's great. So we don't have apparently a lot of unmet need at the moment, and that's good news.
So we hope. I mean,
yeah.
I think that's a hopeful way to interpret, the results. I guess a slightly less hopeful way would be that, we have folks who could have benefited from this and didn't know, some word never reached them that this opportunity was out there, despite us, putting it out every way we could. But, your interpretation is certainly a rosy one.
Right. Well, I'm glad to hear that there are still funds available because it's a good cause. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And by the way, Todd and Rebecca, let me know if I get my facts wrong on any of this stuff. A lot of numbers. So, all right. Thank you, David.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up is going to be Dorsey. Oops, I just hit Patty by mistake. One sec. Sorry, Patty. We're going to bring Dorsey on here and then come to Patty.
Okay. Okay, you ready for me?
Yes.
I am so proud of Corte Madera. I don't know, this is the first time I've joined you folks. I don't know whether the other towns are doing the same thing, but this is beautiful. Thank you so much. I have a couple things and I'll try to be very short. Regarding the rental help that you provide, one of my neighbors was a recipient and she called me thrilled. Now, if there's a possibility that they may, it's a husband and wife, if they may reapply, I guess we'll get that in the newspaper. Would you let us know if they may reapply?
Yeah, I think if we do a second round, and that's an if, by the way. This is I don't think I've mentioned this to staff before today, so this is something that I'm just throwing out there. But if there is a second round, we'll definitely publicize it through all the same channels that we did the last one, and we'll definitely make it as widely known as we possibly can, because we want to make sure that everybody who could benefit knows about the program and can apply. The same as with our 2 rounds of business relief that we did, and in that situation we allowed businesses who received assistance in the first round to reapply in the second round, and I think most of them were granted it 2 rounds if they applied for 2 rounds.
Yeah, well, this couple really needed it, I think. Okay, my second situation is I'm wondering whether our town has worked with other towns and encouraging people to wear face masks during the COVID situation. As a whole, most people are great. There are many, many people, however, in Corte Madera who are not wearing masks. And my understanding is that if you're outdoors, you must have a mask in your possession to be able to put it on when you're approaching somebody or having to go within 6 feet of somebody. Are we doing anything working with other towns, say maybe coming up with the idea of handing out masks to people who don't have them on the corner? And we could get MMRC, Medical Reserve Corps, to volunteer to do that, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so do you want to take that, boss? Or?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, it's a great question. And so, yes, we are talking to our county partners. We actually talk to them 3 times a week on a county call. Every jurisdiction is represented on different levels of government. And so one of the things that we did was pass the countywide urgency ordinance. So it's a standard ordinance across the board to enforce this order and to wearing your masks. Also, there's an education component that we did recently through countywide, where I think every jurisdiction except for maybe one, Corte Madera was one of them that made the purchase, but we all purchased in bulk order masks. And so that's part of our education campaign. So we can give them to staff, give them to our police department. And as we're out and about, we can educate and we can provide masks to our citizenry. So that's in play. And then the last piece is just in the enforcement part. And so what we're going to try to do moving forward is do a task force approach where it's streamlined across the county, where we handle it. Again, I don't know if you're on the opening of the call, not to repeat myself, but to handle it like we do kind of like those crosswalk operations where we publicize to the community, here's the law, we're having a big problem with this issue, we're holding you accountable, here's what you're expected, if you don't do it, we're going to enforce it. We're going to be in this area next week. And so we're going to do that countywide moving forward and try to educate and, if necessary, enforce.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's terrific. Now, I guess I'll have to wait till next week. Ruben, what you're doing with the clearing is terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
I finished. Thank you very much. Oh, hey, last question. Can you see me as I see you?
No, we only have audio for you.
You, okay. Okay, thank you, bye.
Alrighty, thanks.
Thank you.
Alrighty, and now Patty.
Well, the mind reels wondering what Dorsey looks like today. So I wanted to say I'm trying not to take personal affront that the only time I said I can't attend is 4 o'clock on Tuesdays when I have my Apple to Apple class, but it's okay.
Thank you for making it work. Thanks for being here.
I had to bail on my class. So a couple things. The VOAD subcommittee that is neighbor to neighbor met this morning, and I boasted about how Corte Madera has these, as Susie calls the Todd and Eli show, as I call the Todd Talks. And I don't think anybody else is doing anything similar. So I feel really, really fortunate that you guys are continuing this, even at 4 o'clock. And there was mention about something that Dorsey was just talking about, which is a county-wide effort to try to up the excitement about the masks. And I know that I tried to appeal to you guys for the mask tree, and there wasn't a lot of traction on that. But I think they're going to try to they're definitely continuing it in San Anselmo and spreading it beyond there. So I'm hoping that the county will get things going, and maybe we'll see a mask tree here. And that was one of my questions, is if we're going to start enforcing, are people going to be handing out masks? So I'm glad to hear Todd say that, yes, they are going to be handing out masks. So that's good. I'll keep bugging you about the mask tree. And my other question is, do we have a PSPS plan in place? Because I know Rebecca was our savior last year coming up with that charging station and brunch and the whole thing. So is there something in the planning stage that is going to be acceptable for the ordinance?
Yeah, so we're working with Marla Orth and Ashley on the Parks and Rec side to make sure that we have the right resources in place. We're also in the process of entering contracts with a number of businesses and gas stations in town and within within Marin County to actually specifically provide food and services to our town. And so that is in progress. And then we're also coming up with a short, Mill Valley came up with a really good PSPS kind of protocol citywide. So I'll give them props for that, but we're looking at it. We're going to simplify it a little bit and then enact it within our town as well. So a lot of moving parts, but you know, we're planning on doing this, responding the same way we did last year. But as you said, having a plan in place, just not relying on Rebecca's great ideas to get this thing up and running. And then one of the other things is to have some resources, you know, going through in a major event, having like some modular space behind the community center and storage that's protected by the elements and controlled by temperature. That we have available to us 24/7. And so we're working again with staff and Marla as well to make sure that is in place over the next month or so. So a lot going on.
Excellent. And just remind everybody that the disaster committee will be meeting on Monday if anyone wants to tune in to that.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thanks a lot. All right, we don't have any other hands up at the time.
Hey, boss, has anyone been to the drive-in movies yet? I understand since it's been up and running on Thursday out from the Village Shopping Center, the Lark Theater's been putting those on. It's been 100 people for every showing, at least. So I think it's been really popular. I'm just wondering if anybody in town has actually gone and can provide some feedback.
Interesting. I have not gone. Susie's got her hand up here, so let's get her on here. We'll see if she's been.
I will give you a report on the drive-in movie. First of all, I've been to the real drive-in movies, you guys. And San Rafael was where it was, where the, you know, the square is. What is that called? Across from the post office, you know, something square. That is the area where the real drive-in used to be in the old days. And got some funny stories for that. But anyway, so this is fun. So both Larry and Becky Reed and myself were talking when they came out with the Lark Theater opening night, and it was Raiders of the Lost Ark, which of course I really had to see again. But as you know, I am single and without partner. And so here I was wanting to go to the drive-in movies, and I'm going, oh no, that's not going to be any fun at all by myself. But Larry and Becky decided that they wanted to go. So I met up with them over at their house. We drove separate cars, of course, over to the drive-in. I was right behind Becky and Larry, and we parked right next to each other. So there we were in our cars watching the movie together and apart. And it was kind of fun. We turned our cell phones on so that we could chat. We had the, the speaker phones on, so we chatted before. And frankly, it was a beautiful view because the way the lot was set up, it was the theater, the screen is on the west side of that lot, so that your car is looking towards Mount Tam. So you see Mount Tam on the left-hand side and the screen on the right. And it was really quite a beautiful night. There was a little sliver of a moon up there. And I must tell you that Ellie gave a little talk beforehand, and she profusely thanked the town of Corte Madera for making the arrangements to be able to use that lot. She was effusive. It was really nice. Town got a lot of credit for that. So anyway, yes, I went to the movies. I recommend it. It's fun. And I think everyone should go with a boyfriend or girlfriend if you possibly can, or your kids, or your kids. Some people had SUVs, you turned them around like they did in the old days. You bring the sleeping bags and the pillow and you put it in the back of the car. You pop up the back and the kids are back there, relaxed and looking at the movie. And you can bring your popcorn, although Ellie said they will have popcorn eventually. Oh, and they had portable toilets and she announced that they were going to be cleaned in between. And, it was very thorough. It was really well done. Anyway, good for you guys for helping it happen.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure. Bye.
And that's what's been really exciting, boss, too, to see like these great ideas that the community comes up with. And normally, in government, you have all these checks and balances, and like trying to streamline and help people. And, Adam Wolf and his team in planning and building, thinking outside the box to get this thing done, to help the community, and as well as the parklets that we're talking about for restaurants, bringing things into the parking lots and just being creative and proactive. A lot of really great things going on in town right now.
I completely agree. I was just going to say, it's like, I feel like if there's, one kind of motif that we're seeing here, it's that it's the community really coming together and kind of like making the most of this whole COVID situation, whether it's like, like the community foundation supporting all these incredible initiatives. It's the Lark Theater putting on these movies. It's you guys and the incredible work that you're doing to support our community. It's everybody who's on this call actually participating and sharing their thoughts and ideas. I mean, I'm proud. This is amazing. I'm so proud of what our community is pulling off here, and how we're kind of making we're making a bizarre and challenging situation, I think, in a lot of ways, as kind of positive and to some extent even enjoyable as it can be. And at the same time, we're also continuing to share ideas here, as we're hearing on this call, for how we can continue this work, and continue trying to lessen the impact of this situation on people. So I'm blown away. This is amazing. Lucinda's got her hand up here, so let's get her on the line.
Hi again. I missed the first part of the meeting because I forgot that 4 o'clock was the start time, so my apologies. But I wanted to thank Ruben for the work that was done on the fire road off of Alta Terrace. There's been a great deal of additional clearing, and it's not only a wonderful place to walk my dog, but it's so cleared out, you feel much better about kind of the overall conditions up here. So Ruben, thank you very much for working with Marla and getting that done.
You're welcome.
And thank you guys for one and all to do this continuing town talks. I think they're wonderful, and I support what some of the ladies before me said. We're very proud of our town. We're very proud of our managers and council to be able to pull this off and make it happen and available to us, the citizenry. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you, Lucinda. And I'll just recap for anybody who's not aware of our new schedule. So we're going to be doing our Tuesday chats on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. So the Tuesdays where there is not a council meeting. So basically we're setting it up so that every Tuesday evening folks have a chance to, get in touch with us and participate, whether it's through a council meeting or through one of these chats. Council meetings, are later in the evening. These chats are at 4. But we're just trying to make sure that every Tuesday at least folks have an opportunity to get involved here and touch base with local government. We don't have any other hands up right now, and we've got about a little less than 10 minutes left. We've got Martha has a hand up here. Let's get Martha on the line.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for doing this. I actually just have a quick question about the shop, the businesses in the town center and the village. It's not quite indoor shopping, and so I'm wondering if there's possibility that they will be open, even if it's like pick up in, order online, pick up in store or something like that, because it's not actually an indoor mall. Is there a plan for that, or are they going to continue being shut down?
Yeah, Martha, it's a great question. So right now, both of those shopping centers are, from a retail standpoint, a majority of them are open right now. You can actually go in and use them. It's not just curbside, you can actually go in. The restaurants are outdoor only still, but they've allowed indoor retail. And due to being, like you said, due to them being open air malls and not enclosed, they're actually open. So a majority of the businesses should be open.
Oh, that's good to know.
And the good news too for us over the last 3 weeks since that has happened, there's a lot of questions because the numbers are spiking. On the indoor retail side, they've been going up at about a 2% clip, where the restaurants at the time were going like at a 35% increase. And so retail is kind of holding, they're following good practices. And so I'm encouraged that it should continue that way moving forward.
Okay. Oh, great. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Martha. Any other questions? Anything else we can help you with, Martha?
No, that's about it. I was just wondering about that. Yeah, thank you so much.
Sounds good. Alrighty, thanks a lot.
Thank you for the meeting.
Our pleasure.
Great. It's great hearing from you.
All right, we have James with his hand up here.
Hi there.
Hello.
I had asked a while back about crime statistics, particularly related to the shopping centers here. And I'd like to see on some kind of basis, like a monthly basis, a summary from the town newsletter about crime statistics. I looked at the police reports, and they're a little bit difficult to decipher because what I found was weekly reports, and it was all sort of stuff was scattered throughout those reports over there. So I'm wondering if we could get some kind of summary about the crime reports in Corte Madera, and particularly those things related to the 2 shopping centers. Because I saw on Nextdoor again recently, there was a bicycle theft and from a locked bicycle even. And I think it would be important for all of us to know what's actually going on there and be able to get those statistics regularly and then decide what to do if it's as bad as I'm suspecting it is, but I don't know.
Yeah, so James, I'll follow up. I did ask Central Marin Police Authority. They use a third-party vendor to basically take the statistics and break them down into categories, and I asked specifically for this. So let me see where we're at. Rebecca, do we have James's contact information? James, can you send Rebecca or me your email, and I'll make sure that I follow back up with you.
Sure.
On that?
That would be great.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that, and it'll be a document that'll come from Central Marin Police Authority, but I'll make sure that it's linked and we have that information. And I appreciate that, because I think what we're going to find is 80% of the crimes in Corte Madera are crimes of opportunity. And so to understand those numbers, and then like you said, what are we going to do about it? Education, or, there's a whole variety of things. So I'll definitely work on getting that. And I'll also try to get we do, as the mayor said on the last time we talked about this, we get an annual report, but to see if we can also get that same type of report for Corte Madera on a monthly basis. I'm not sure that we'll be able to. It might be quarterly, but regardless, we'll see if we can get you some statistics. We pay for it, so we should be able to get it. Yeah. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, James. Anything else?
My only other comment was, yes, the time does interfere with the Apple class. So I skipped the Apple class today, but usually I'll have to go to the Apple class.
Well, thank you to both you and Patty and anybody else who's on the line who has made time for us over the Apple class. Alrighty, thank you, James. All right, we're getting a little bit down to the wire here, and we've got like 4 hands up. So I'm going to skip down to the folks who haven't had a chance to talk yet, and then after they get to speak, we'll come back to Barbara and Lucinda. So we'll go to Marilyn first, and then Phyllis, and then we'll go back to Barbara and Lucinda.
Okay, I'm just curious about what's going in where the home consignment was, and do you know when Amy's is going to be able to open? And what went in next to Joanne's, and what's going to happen with the cinema?
Director Wolf?
Okay, we're running down the list here. That's good. I'll try to go quickly. I know we have some other callers. So we have the Lazy Boy furniture store going into the home consignment area's current store.
It's back.
Lazy Boy is back. But I think it's they have a variety of furniture. I thought it was actually just selling Lazy Boy chairs, but apparently they are full service furniture store, and it should be pretty nice. Amy's is scheduled to open on August 4th, which is, I guess, about a week from today. And the other one, so next to Joanne's, that was a project that had unfortunately just finished construction right before we entered into the COVID pandemic and shelter in place. But it is essentially an office upstairs, and there's proposed to be some retail downstairs, but obviously not a good time to be leasing space for retail or any other uses. Upstairs is actually the office space for local property owners in Corte Madera, own a couple of other properties in that area. And then the last one was the cinema. I know about as much as you. Apparently the IJ had an article recently just noting that the cinema itself, unfortunately, would be will be closing on a permanent basis. I didn't catch exactly when the last showing might be or when exactly that was going to happen, but they were already on a month-to-month lease, is my understanding, by the property owner, and sort of were at some point going to be ushered off of that property in any case. So it's, fortunately, we have the Lark for the time being, and we can have some drive-in movies in its place for now out of the village. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to August 4th.
Thank you. Thank you, Marilyn. All right, let's give Phyllis a chance here. Hi, Phyllis.
Hi, Eli. Hi, everyone. Again, thank you so much for doing these meetings. Really appreciate what you're doing, and I think Corte Madera is doing a great job in a lot of things. A question I have is the town, or can the town push back at all with the closing of the beauty salons? Because it seems so unfair to them, since they have put, in a lot of cases, thousands of dollars into bringing them into compliance with the COVID regulations. And they're open for what, a week, and then boom, they're shut again. And it just seems so unfair to have that, such a mass closing, and not doing it in some way on a salon by salon basis, actually. or is this salon meeting the requirements? If so, they could open. And I wondered if there was any way of the town actually supporting something like that for your salons that are here.
I hear you, Phyllis. I think, Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this is all happening at the county and actually even the state level. I believe that our salons being in the state they are was a direct result of Marin County being put back on the governor's watch list. And that really kind of threw off. It delayed some of our plans to reopen, and I think it may have actually did it also reverse a reopening for some sectors. I'm not sure if salons were briefly open. Okay, so yeah, but I'm. Yeah, so I totally hear you though, Phyllis. I think, you know, especially since a lot of our salons, right? Salons aren't generally, especially in Corte Madera, they're not really chain businesses. They're like, you know, mom and pop family owned businesses. And it's really awful to see, you know, I think salons and gyms and those types of services that have been shut back down as a result of our being put back on the watch list. It's really awful. But it really does just frankly underscore how important it is that we get a handle on our COVID numbers in this county. And the only way we can do that is, as we've been saying, by really, you know, being fastidious about wearing our masks when we're in public and about maintaining social distance. So, you know, I think the short answer for you, and we're out of time here, but the short answer is unfortunately that's entirely out of our hands.
Well, I thought that was going to be your answer, Eli, but I wanted to bring it up to see if there was anything that we could do on behalf of the salons that we use
of course.
for Madera.
I know we're running out of time, and
so
I know,
much. Pardon?
I would just say I know we're running out of time too, folks. But I wanted to say staff is working with the county, though. On, as the mayor said, our hands are tied, but we are working with the county on, you know, outdoor possibilities, and then what would they have to do to reopen. And so having a voice for them, we're definitely engaged in those talks.
Great.
You know, moving forward and trying to be creative.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you, Phyllis. All right, we've gone a few minutes over here, but I mean, this has been a fantastic discussion. Honestly, I think we had a lot of really important topics raised. So thank you to all of our staff members who made time to be on this call with us. Thank you to all the members of the public who joined us and asked great questions or brought up, you know, these important topics. And we will hope to see you. Let's see, we've got a council meeting coming up on the 3rd Tuesday in August. The first August council meeting was canceled, but I guess, so I guess the next time we'll see each other is our Tuesday chat that will be at this time on the 2nd Tuesday in August, if I got that right. So thank you everybody for being here. This has been fantastic, and we will look forward to talking to you all soon.
Thanks, boss. Thanks, team.
See you guys. Bye everyone. Thank you.